Hi, I'm Christine. Today we're looking at icy colors and pastels. These are terms that refer to the lightest colors in the groups of natural coloring or color collections, palettes, that describe cool colored people. People who are cooler than they are warm. Icy being the term that refers to the lightest colors of the winter palettes and people. And pastel being the term that refers to the lightest colors of summer colored people. And that would include 5 groups or seasons that are all under some influence from summer. Some of them are not cooler than they are warm, but they all have some interpretation of pastel in their lighter colors. If you have had your colors analyzed, you have a color palette, and that is absolutely where you start. That's where you see what the colors look like. That gets your attention in the part of the store where it should be. And this is where you start seeing how the colors interact with the other colors. That makes the whole palette or the whole look come together. Your clothes with you, your makeup with you, your hair with everything that you wear. But sometimes you'll be in a store and you'll have a garment or piece of a cosmetic, a piece of jewelry, and you're not sure. You could talk yourself into either one. And so in today's video, we're going to think about other ways of choosing between summer, between icy and pastel. If you have questions, as always, please ask them. The pictures and the script for this video will be in the blog post link in the description box. And the pictures are also, they were created at your style, and the links will be in the description box so that you can follow them if you want to see the items bigger or if you want to find shopping information. In this first panel, what we're thinking about is the lightness or darkness level, value being another word for that. If you have your color analysis palette, the lightest colors have a range of how light or dark they will go. And the pastels, as you see in the top row here, are actually darker than the icy colors. They are farther from white. If you think of the background as white, they're quite far from white. And this is probably as light as the pastels, the lightest colors will go in these seasons. In the middle row, these are the winter colors. You can see the white in them. You can see how much lighter they are, how much closer they are to the background. Both pastel and icy colors have a range. Depends a little bit on the creator of your color palette. But again, the point is not to get a perfect match. The point is to find what items can function in your wardrobe and look great on you. Not every person in every season looks identical in every color. And so what you got to do is try it. If a color is too light, both icy or pastel, the face will look papery, powdery, somewhat drained. You'll lose the richness of the skin colors. And so you'll see that. You'll see that you kind of drain down a little bit washed out. You don't turn gray, but you do turn a little papery. And so to go up one level in your color palette or to add a little bit of the same pigment that you see in the garment, just something else with a little more of the same color, may look a little bit better on you. It'll return more colors to the skin and more colors to the complexion, a more moist, healthy type of skin tone. I ask myself as well, not just is it too light or too dark, but I draw on my other senses. And so what I mean here with icy and pastel is I ask myself, does it feel frosty or does it feel watery? You can see in the middle row that those winter colors are frosty. They feel icy. They feel like they would be hard or cold. You can see the frost in them. Not at all would you describe the summer colors in the top row that way. If someone said icy or frosty or watery, you would say watery. They have a softer, more drifting kind of feeling about them. They don't look like they would be as hard in terms of their texture or their density. The winter color in number 4, that's made of cotton, and The cotton won't reach the same kind of frostiness level necessarily as synthetics do. But nonetheless, there's a lot of white in that color, and I think it would perform much better in a winter palette than a summer one. It is way lighter than the lightest colors in any of the summer palettes, and so that person will appear a little bit drained. I think it would work better in the winter palettes. Let's talk about 7 and 8. Number 7, well, it's brighter than the blues in the top row. It's clearer, you could say, as though you took the blues in the top row and kind of put them in the sunshine. It's a little bit bluer, a little bit lighter, but still take a minute to think about how far that is from white. You don't really sense frostiness in that color, ignoring the white color. I'm not sure what kind of white that is, but in the blue, you don't sense ice, you don't sense frostiness. But you do see a little bit of clarity and sunshine. I think that's a light summer color. It could pan right back nicely into the true summer palette too. The next one, number 8, well, that's brighter yet. Bright in the sense that there's even more pigment. There's even more blue. So it's not gray like a pastel might be. And it's not frosty like a winter color might be. Well, keep in mind that blue appears in basically all 12 palettes, and this may be one of those outliers of pastel or icy. I could see this nicely as a brighter color for light summer. I could also see it in light spring and as a very nice color. There's nothing sharp or white about it. This is panel number 2. In this one, we're asking, where could the color slide into the most similar strip in your color palette? So with numbers 1 and 2, I could find similar colors in the winter palettes. The reason they don't go into summer is they're too red. Summer is more blue-based, winter is more red-based. And I see these as too red, too high of a red content for summer palettes. The one that says dark winter, bright spring, number 1. These are interesting seasons, the two of them, and they have a bit of a relationship, I guess, in that, well, they're both under winter influence. Dark winter, because of the autumn in it, has a little bit of softness. Bright spring is quite far from true winter's icy white and coolness. It's a little bit warmer than that. And I could see both of them allowing number 1 to function quite nicely. With every single color in the palette, well, no, not necessarily. But with a lot of them, I am a dark winter person who has a little autumn. Maybe as dark winters go, I have a fair bit of autumn in me. And if I wear an icy color that is too close to white, I look drained. I look better when I add in a little bit more pigment. So depending on what color palette you have, number 1 would be the kind of dark winter icy color that I would look for. Pure color, a little bit softened, a little bit smoky because the autumn is in there, but it won't function in a summer palette because of the amount of red. And for a bright spring, is it warm enough? Is it going to work with every color? No, but it's close enough that I think that there'd be some very nice outfits and layering potential from that color. Number 2, clearer still, pure pigment. Between 1 and 2, you can see that they're both quite light, but number 2 has removed that softness, the little bit of gray, that smoky element from number 1, and this is pure pigment. Very much an icy color and still very high red content. Still think that belongs in the winter, and that looks to me like a lovely color for a bright winter. Regarding 1 and 2, you're also seeing a bit the light dark range again. Icy colors won't go any darker than certainly not 1 and also not 2. That's about how much darkness and pigment they would have. Number 3, okay, it's darker and it's grayer, but it's bluer, right? You don't have that high red content. This is much more dusty blueberry than the other 2. And in the violet range, this would be about as light as summer's lightest violet pastel would go. There's nowhere you're going to put that in a winter palette. Because of the textile, it's shiny and the reflections go to white, but it's not a blinding white. It's still kind of a softened or diffused reflection of white. So I think number 3 would go very nicely in a summer palette. In this next one, we are asking ourselves, we've got this blouse we're thinking of buying. Okay, do I see gray or do I see white? Now this time summers are on the left and winters are on the right. In the summer items, you see gray. You see gray in the color itself as well as in the folds. And numbers 1 and 4 are light summer. So this is the brightest of the summers, the ones with the least gray. In the last 2 panels where you saw true summer, there was more gray in the color. Still far from white, but there was more gray. Light summer, spring's coming in, colors are getting a little clearer, but these are still pastels. They're far from white. Compare them to the background, compare them to the other items in the panel, and you see visible gray in those colors. Winter colors, the group of 4 over on the right, you see white. They're too light. They're too frosty. There's nowhere you're going to put these in a summer palette. They make you think of snowflakes. They make you think of peppermint candies. You do not think of lakes. The camisole, number 1, green, light summer. This is light. This is as light, probably as light summer's pastels would go. There may be palettes that show lighter colors than these for the pastels. I'm not so sure. Sometimes they can work on certain people. I personally don't love them. This is about the level of pigment that I think looks fantastic on summer colored people. For the lightest colors. You may have a bright spring palette. And you might look at that and think, well, that kind of looks like it would belong in that bright spring lightest colors group. And it might. So then what I did was I compared it to the reds, to the lipsticks. Could I put a bright spring lipstick above this garment, because people see the 2 things at the same time, and could it function very well? I didn't see it with bright spring, and we'll look at the lipsticks a little bit more as we go along here. I thought it was beautiful with light summer lip colors. They both brought out lots of color and energy from one another. And it was beautiful also, very important, another thing to look at, how does it work with the neutral colors? And I thought with light summer it was just fabulous. Number 4, you see soft gray again. Again, I think this is light summer. And another question is, can it work with the other colors in the palette? Well, can it work with number 1? Could numbers 1 and 4 live together in the same world? Could you believe they grew off of the same tree? Yeah, totally. There's no problem at all. You could see someone having the green of number 1 in their eyes and wearing the t-shirt of number 4, and oh my God, they'd look fantastic. You could see the number 1 as a blouse and not wearing number 4 as a lipstick or a lip gloss. Oh my God, they look fantastic. These things are just meant to go together. Numbers 5 and 6. You see white. You can see the bright winter one, number 6. It's warmed up a little bit. There's a bit of spring coming in, and so there's a little bit more warmth, and the color is very pure. Number 5, true winter, it's bluer. It's cooler, and it's frosty, right? You can feel the coolness. You can also see between 2 and 3 and 5 and 6, again, the light-dark range of pastels. This is about the ballpark for light to dark that pastels are. If they are getting a whole lot lighter or a whole lot darker than one of these 4 items, it could possibly work. Every color behaves a little bit differently. As we saw in the last panel, violet has its own set of rules. But as a rule, you are in this ballpark of light to dark for icy colors. In this final group of pictures, we're going to ask a couple of questions here. The first one that people ask is, can some colors be both? Can some colors be icy and pastel? In theory, maybe no. But life isn't theory, and in function, yeah, maybe sometimes. People will ask, well, how come there's no group of colors between summer and winter? because there's not enough colors that would function well in both palettes. There might be the odd one, but not enough to make a whole palette, not enough that I've ever seen a single human being who fits exactly between the two. People are one or the other. And once they know, they're very, very good at adapting. Oh, I'm this kind of true summer, or I'm that kind of dark winter, or whatever your season happens to be. As examples, though, again, how are you going to tell, right? That's what this video is about, is I need ways to think about this when the palette doesn't really help me figure it out. Look at reds. Red is psychologically a very powerful color for humans, and we all got red. If you got blood, you got red. So it's in there whether you wear makeup or not. And here you can see the swatch on the top is winter, the swatch on the bottom is summer. The swatches are big. This is, I think that you need enough color to get something to happen. When I do color analysis, when I drape people or teach students, we are working with big blocks of color, like a bath towel, let's say. It's going to go around your shoulders. And it's a single solid color. Otherwise, it's just too much information coming at you. And so you need lots of color, and you need the colors to be close enough in space to do something. The further they get apart, the less of a reaction necessarily happens, which is why you want your makeup to be right, and you need your hair color to be right. But your pants or your shoes, you know, if it makes sense in the entire outfit and it creates a harmonious whole, then you're probably fine. Number one, that pink tailored top. Light summer, bright winter. I think it's clear enough, it's far enough from white. It's clear enough, it has enough pigment for the bright winter, but it's far enough from white to be a pastel. Could be okay with either lipstick. The bright winter might not wear her fire engine red, but if she wore a sheer or a lighter type of gloss, I think it could be just great. Both of the winter and summer colors, they're fairly cool. You'd warm them up a little bit. So if you look at number one as a light summer color and try to wear it with that lipstick, it might not be perfect because the lipstick is closer to true summer. And remember, your monitor is showing you color a little bit differently than everybody else watching this video. So if a light summer were going to wear it, she would take that summer lipstick, she would lighten it a little bit, and she would add a little bit of pigment. So we're looking at a peachy pink, maybe kind of closer to the t-shirt in number 4. The top 4, all these numbers. Number 3, the blue sleeves, the blue top with the puffed sleeves. I wasn't sure about this one. The winter lipstick seemed a little bright. The summer red seemed a little bit washed out. If I wore the winter lipstick above that top, would the top kind of drain? Would I be looking really at the woman's lips and not at the top? Well, this is where you'd have to try it. This is where I decide, I don't know. I cannot tell in this very abstract type of situation. I'm going to have to buy the top and make sure I can return it and take it home and try it out with my color palette or with other things in my wardrobe. Maybe they both could wear it. I'm just not sure. I couldn't get myself settled with that. So if you can't, don't worry about it. Not everybody can settle every color. On the right side, we've seen these two colors, these two tops before. Number 2, the true winter one. No problem with that winter red. It's easy. I could see it perfectly well. I don't have to play any mental games to figure that out. Would I pair it with the summer red? No. The lips would be gray. The same thing with the color is wood gray, and that's exactly what would happen if you put that on your lips and had the pink true winter top under it. That would not be an interesting lip color. Would I pair the t-shirt in number 4 with the winter lipstick? No, it's too much. You wouldn't have that lipstick above that t-shirt. And whether you wear lipstick or not, it doesn't matter. Those are the reds that live in you or some close version of that. And so the t-shirt would fade. It would gray. It would look tired. It would look old, like an item you've washed too many times. But would I wear the item in number 4 with the summer lipstick? Yeah. That exact version of lipstick, no. I would lighten it and I would add a little bit more peach to it. But it would grow in the same garden. I could see these two things functioning together, and I would be comfortable saying, yeah, this t-shirt is a pastel. This is not an icy color. I hope that our journey through icy and pastel was useful to you. As always, please ask if you have any questions. Also, if you have ways of telling icy from pastel, please share that in the comments, because I have learned more from the questions and the comments that readers and viewers ask than probably any other source. So please share your experiences and your observations. We all love to read those and love to learn from them. Also, people have mentioned that it's awful hard to find a color analyst sometimes. We don't all live in places that have color analysts, and I absolutely acknowledge that. If you live in the UK, please know that Jorunn Hernes of Nordic Simplicity in Norway, link is in the description box, will be, or hopes to be, in the UK later in 2021, and if travel is not opened up that much, then in 2022. And those appointments will fill up fast. So please do contact Jorunn and express your interest, ask to be put on a waiting list, so that if this trip happens, you can make sure to sit in front of her mirror and find out what season you are. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.